Hi, this is Amir Anzour, and I'm sitting here with Syed Ahmad, who is one of the forefront of innovation as a service leaders in the world. He travels around the world. He just came from Jeddah to do one of their leading festivals. He's just right now in London. He has 70% of his business is in the US, but 30% is all around the world. They're doing interesting thing with Internet of Things. And so, Sayed, I wanted to speak to you about what is innovation as a service.
Ever since Silicon Valley took over the world with these startups and innovative new technologies, the corporate sector has been falling behind. So initially, they used to kind of buy startups, trying to bring in the innovation DNA in their companies. So the thing is the corporate culture generally or the process centric environment, they don't allow innovative thinking to take a hold in the company. So in order to digitally transform, in order to innovate, you need to have a different mindset, you need to have a different kind of culture which is more agile, which is more flat. To be very precise, I would say something like a Silicon Valley culture you need to bring into your company. And most of the IT companies you'll see are fairly corporate. They don't have that innovation mindset. They're not truly agile in the way they work or think. So that's what we have championed. We have created a company culture. We have created a very lean kind of a startup like company, but at a scale. So it's kind of you can say that you can when you engage with our company, it's more like buying a startup and bringing in the innovation DNA for your company. So we not just work on an RFP or customer requirement, but we co-create. We work on the ideas with the customer. So we bring in all of our expertise and all of the ideas. We work together. We do design sprints. We do idea workshops. So all the way from idea stage to the exit level, or working at a scale, we are able to do that.
And you have hundreds of people working for your company. How do you bring that innovation mindset into your people? What can company like ours or other companies do to bring that innovation in their DNA?
It really does start with a big and clear vision and mission for the company. Has to be a purpose. People want to be connected to a bigger cause, bigger purpose, and it starts from there. And then I would say when it comes to agile, when it comes to culture, then you truly have to kind of uh, create a culture where people find space to explore themselves. They have they can experiment. There has to be no fear of failure. They need to have this nurturing culture, coaching culture, where they can learn from experiencing. In startup and innovation requires a lot of experimentation, a lot of so you have to do away with that, always that risk mitigation culture. You have to be a risk taking culture. So I think first of all, you define your vision and mission clearly, bigger purpose, and then create a culture. And then it all revolves around that, creating we have this trademarked learning experience platform that we have created. So we are able to take people through that in a journey of, I would say, for self transformation, growth, so they can be at their personal best. So when our people, through our culture, we are able to bring in the best people, then we are able to train them and bring the best out of them. So, our job is just to build people. Our job is just to get the best people and build them, give them right environment, and they do the rest. They bring in innovation for our customers.
And you run one of Pakistan's best organizations, one that people really look up to and want to work for. How, what are the pros and cons of running a business out of Pakistan?
So I think, of course, many people when they think about Pakistan, they feel it's not a mainstream, that one of the biggest countries like India or some other places. But Pakistan has come a long way. In the last 4 to 5 years, Pakistan has had amazing growth, and it's now one of the, I would say, strongest growing countries when it comes to IT and services, because it has massive population. One of the biggest youth bulge in is in Pakistan. And these young people, they are English speaking. The country, by default, the language is English. So when they come graduate, and they come to us, they are generally, because of the language, uh, they feel it's easy to connect with the Western kind of companies and all. And I think, because we don't have yet some of the biggest companies at scale, for example, Google, Amazon, like they have back offices in India where they hire like 500,000 or few hundred thousand people. In Pakistan, their presence is relatively small. So I would say that right now it's the best undiscovered place, in a view that right now you can get best value for money, because you have the top talent accessible to you. Still, you don't have to compete with Amazon to get a hand on the best talent in Pakistan. So I think talent, the scale of the talent, and then there are some really good niche players so for example, in data, in IoT, in different areas, you find some really good companies working in all the top companies in the world.
So Syed was actually, I was one of his first five customers when I started my outsourcing journey in 2003, I believe it was. And what have you learned in this 20 years plus journey of running a technology company? What has been the pro and the con of being an entrepreneur, and one that's coming from a developing world country, you know? So you're a multi-million dollar company, and I'm sure if he was in the US, it would be a multi-billion dollar company by now. But what's been the pros and cons of running your journey?
So I think, the cons is, of course, it's a lot harder to scale a business. So you need to handle a lot of things that you take for granted in most of the, I would say, developed countries. So, but you get to figure that out in first few
Like
years.
what's the example? Like what would be easier in England or America than, let's say, a country like Pakistan or some of the African countries?
So one of the things is, that index they call ease of doing business. For example,
Yeah.
dealing with the government authorities, all these paperworks will be very manual. In US, you will have things like on a click of a button, things will happen. Over here, we may have to have a consultant to take care of those things. So things like that. So you have to figure out how the system works, because the system generally is not that easy. But I think once you get over that initial difficulties, then the pros is that I think, um, you can make a lot more difference when you are in these areas. First of all, people over here, they don't have as many opportunities as in developed world. So when you are creating opportunities for the others, then that is a lot more, I would say, satisfying, because you see the level of impact you are able to create around you is, I think, much bigger. So what I say is, where you have more problems, then an entrepreneur is more needed over there, because an entrepreneur solves the problem. So secondly, I think I'm in a people business, because we call it innovation as service depends on people. So I think scaling the people part of the equation is easier in these countries, India, China, Pakistan, where we have a lot more kind of people, compared to Dubai, for example, Singapore. You don't have that many people, right? So I think, having that opportunity to create a big enough impact. My mission, my vision is to be a thought leader in being an ethical, agile, and people centric businesses in Asia. So I believe that we can have that, can create a big enough business that becomes a kind of a flag bearer of how a business should be run, how we can have practices that can develop people. Of course, businesses. I believe business happens when you do right by your the decisions and all that. So our job is to build people. Our product is people. Is those people who then serves our customers and all. So I think it's a huge opportunity, and I feel very fulfilled when we see an opportunity uh, to to bring people at their personal best at a scale, because you are having an impact on the society and businesses as well.
And what can universities do to better prepare students so that when they join an organization like yours, they can really flourish and you don't have to do as much work? What can we put in the education system that you think will really help you?
I think we should just embrace the change that is happening. The future is not about communicating knowledge. I mean, knowledge is everywhere, and people can take knowledge themselves. I think our universities need to understand times are changing. They should just teach people how to learn, how to think, and let them learn on their own, and build that habit of learning, growing all the time. So I think one thing they could do better is, because at that age kids are discovering themselves, help them discover what they're going to be good at in their life, instead of just following whatever is earning more money. So I think one of the issues I see is kids don't know what they're good at. They tend to kind of just follow each other and to whoever tells them. So I think if they can help them discover their strengths, help them discover their true potential, and then help them learn, help them go through the process of how to learn. And I think nowadays learning just comes on its own. You just have to have the right attitude. They should just focus on building that attitude.
And when you started this company, what, 20 something years ago, what was your vision and how is it compared to where you are now?
So when we started, of course, all we wanted to do was run a business, make good money, and make a big company, and make a well-run company, establish processes. We used to have this good practices, like it should not depend. Company should not depend on people. It should have good processes so that so things like that. So nothing big, but I would say first 10 years I discovered, first of all, my purpose of life. And then I was able to realize that I have such a strong platform with me, this DPL company. And I realized that this is where my purpose of life starts. Because so I transformed the company after 10 years. We made it all about people. We aim to make it a company where people just don't work on RFPs or whatever they're told, but they discover themselves, they grow, and they add value to whatever they're working on. So, for example, if they're working on a startup, they understand what that startup is looking to do, and they add value to that purpose of that startup. And our people should have that level of confidence, courage, and vision, and attitude, so that they come as kind of co-creators, not just kind of followers or yes sir kind of people. So we were able to transform our company into a people-centric company, into a agile company, truly agile company, a company whose culture is unique, where it kind of brings it purpose becomes to bring people at its personal best. So I think we came a long way last 10 years became a lot more interesting for me, a lot more knowledgeable for me. And of course, where we are right now, the world is looking for innovation. The world is going where low value work, where you are told what to do. If you can tell someone what to do, then that work can be done by a machine. It can be done by AI. Then people will not be needed for that work. And our people need to realize that much sooner than, because the AI is here, everything is here. So I think either we need to um, get to a level of creativity where uh, machines are not going to be there for the next 20 years, for example. So yeah, so I think we transformed our company towards that purpose where we are working on innovation. We are elevating our people so that they can deliver at that Silicon Valley level of innovation. So yeah, that's what we have.
So what how did you find your purpose, and if you don't mind sharing, what is it that you think is your purpose?
I initially you want to, of course, make money. There's a list of everyone. Initially, when you get into a job or business, you want to possess things, or you have very small targets. Once I achieved all those, once I had my the dream car or dream phone and things and everything figured out, then you get to that midlife crisis where you are trying to discover what am I going to do with my life. And that's where I thought about impact. And then I thought the biggest impact you could have is if the system could work better, if the government could do better, healthcare will be easier, education will be good. So I kind of experimented, went into a volunteering way, went into a political party and volunteered for a couple of years. That's back in 2010. And I thought that was the best way to create impact. But after working for 2 years, I figured that I was looking for my purpose elsewhere. I was looking to change the world. Whereas the biggest way to change the world is right where I am, which is my own company. Because you have people, you have hundreds of families that are dependent on you. And if you can not, you can elevate these people to a level where they start to think bigger as well and they start to contribute more towards themselves, their families, and society. That's a good place to start. And if you look at China, India, who has made them superpowers? It's their economy and it's their IT or technology. And so you look at India, they're like on back of their technology, they've become superpowers. They've made so much money. So I don't think their government has done as much as what their technology companies have done. Similarly, Silicon Valley, you see, similarly, you see in China. So I think the level of change that so that's what I realized. So that's when I understood that our company is, if it becomes, let's say, 100,000 people company, then the change that we could bring. Just look at Ericsson. If Ericsson goes up, the entire of Sweden goes up. Ericsson goes down. So just look at the level of impact these companies could create in their societies. That's what I believe. So that's when I realized that we can make a huge difference in the society, in the world, and that's through creating a company that's number one, so ethical. Unfortunately, in many of the developing countries, you see they feel that only by doing corruption or such sort of malpractices you can become successful or you can become billionaire. I believe you can be ethical and you can still be a billionaire. And if you can prove that being an ethical company you have made billions, then you have hundreds or thousands of more following you. So that's when you can become a thought leader, when you can show the people the way. So that's what we are trying to do. Create in our societies in Asia, we have a lot of hierarchies, we have a lot of structures and yes sir culture and all. We are trying to change that. We're trying to change. We are trying to create people-centric company example instead of a process-centric corporate company. So I think by being the by doing it at a scale, making it successful, we can have others follow us.
And then how can you go? You've got 100 something employees to 1,000 something employees. What is your vision? How do you think you can go to the 10x that level that you've got now?
So what I've seen is that in typically in countries like where IT is generally outsourced, for example, India, Philippines, you you see the biggest challenge is the growth of people, and that's why they can never kind of be at a higher creative level. They are always doing low level jobs. So I want to create. We are trying to create this culture which is scalable, where we are trying to, I would say, hack the human development. So that's why I call our company kind of a social lab, where we are working on people, how we can, when people come in, experience kind of a counterculture. The kind of a counterculture the Silicon Valley had in 60s, that created this new kind of, that liberated people's minds towards innovation. That's what we are trying to create in our company. And we understand that the larger culture in the subcontinent, for example, is very still not ready for that. So that's why we come up with such data based, AI based support systems. So we are coming up with this platform called an Engage platform. It has a learning experience, performance management, it's gamified. And what it's going to do is it's going to take people and using data, using AI, and of course human coaching and everything. Um, we hope to fast track people development, and do it in a way where we can track it, and we can have a much more kind of, because humans, not everyone is good at coaching and all. So I think data and AI presents us a good opportunity, where individual, it's like having an Apple Watch, right? We are not good at exercise or doing right by ourselves, but being motivated, and when we are told what we need to do, we do the right thing. So that's what we're trying to do. So make this people process scalable. So through this platform and through our company culture, we call rebel culture. So, and this is a very kind of a strong brand we have created, and rallied people around that. So through our company culture and through this AI based gamified platform, we are looking to scale our people kind of function, so that we can, if we go from 100 to 1,000 or 10,000, uh, the kind of human element is not, human element still works. So yeah, so that's what I'm trying.
And you do a good number of your business in the United States. What do you think makes it an innovation culture and good place to do business? Or what are the pros and cons of the US for business, and especially in the tech world? I mean, we're led by the United States. Why do you think it is that Google, Amazon, Facebook, all of these innovations come from there and not from, we don't have Pakistani companies in the big $1 billion.
So we work globally for and what I've seen. So of course, there's first of all this unique culture in the US, but more specifically in the clusters they have in Silicon Valley and other places. And I think first of all, the culture they have created, where they kind of it's very unique, where people don't judge you. When where anyone, that American dream, where they say that anyone can do anything, and it's possible. So I think that belief in that thing, that I can do anything, that's very important over there. That's less available in other parts of the world. I think second thing is, people are a lot more hungry. I would say they want to think big, they want to grow big, they want to become billionaires. I think when I see, for example, in other countries like Europe, maybe I don't see that level of hunger to become really big or become. So it's more of a about quality of life in probably Europe, but in US it's all about become, go big or go home kind of a thing. So I've seen that. So people think and make decisions very quickly. They take risk, and they take big risk, and if it fails, it fails. They don't really think too much about it. One of I remember my customers, he was telling me, he was the European Swedish. He told me that Americans, there's a reason why Americans went to the moon and we didn't, and it's because, if they're going 90% in the direction, they'll say, oh, it's okay. We just go about, we focus on perfection 100%, and we never get there. And so it's like when you're driving, if your tires on a line, then it's probably okay in the US, not okay in the Europe. But that thing, as long as you going in that direction, you have hunger, you're pushing for it, you're not going after perfection, but you. So I think that there's some of the things I've seen, what I call that kind of a cowboy kind of a thing, that go after it and don't think too much. I think they've done well in that. And secondly, they are the ecosystem, the money availability of resources and money and everything is there. There's a lot more regulations in other parts of the world, including the developing world, and even Europe. I think they're more liberal towards businesses. They want them to grow, and if you make money, they'll let you have the money. As not so I think there's a lot of these things I've seen. So it's definitely is the best place to grow, scale, and yeah, do big things.
And what advice would you have to someone who wants to set up the next DPLIT and sort of follow in your footsteps of a 20-year plus entrepreneurship journey, that's maybe thinking about it at the moment? Like what advice would you give to entrepreneurs?
I think someone who wants to start in this, it's important to first of all have belief in yourself and grow yourself,
Yeah.
because people are going to follow you if they think that you have something to give to them. If you do not grow yourself, you will never be able to get the best people out there, because they're not going to be attracted by you. So I think grow yourself, be very clear in your vision or what you want in your life. People I've seen are not clear about what they want. They will look at an opportunity and just go in that direction behind the opportunity, but they're not clear where they want to go. I think it's priceless to be clear in your life what you want to do, and it's okay if you don't are not clear yet, but keep trying to know yourself and to know your purpose and what you want to do. And once you get there, then you'll not be distracted by what others are doing. Then you'll be very clear in where you want. And then, of course, having a good team. There's no alternative to having a really good team around you. Try to hire people who are better than you, at least in one thing. So yeah, having a really good team. Initially, it will be difficult because you may not have that much money to pay to them. But then, if you are very clear in your mindset and you're kind of people tend to gravitate towards people who are confident and who have this kind of clear vision about the life. So good people, clear vision, good people, and good culture. I think that will make a good start for a good company.
Perfect. So if people wanted to do business with you, where can they find you and how can they start interacting with your company and maybe set up an initial call to see if what kind of business they can do with you and maybe get some coaching on the types of projects you can help with?
So we are always traveling globally, and we have a website, dplit.com. That's where they can reach out to us. My email address is syed at dplit.com. So we are always open to to talk and discuss and see any opportunities to work together.
Perfect. I really recommend DPLIT. I've seen their office multiple times. I've worked with them. I've been a customer. I've referred people to them. One of the best companies that you can work with, and this innovation as a service, they really lead the world in that, and it's in their DNA. So I highly recommend them. Check them out. Check out Syed on his LinkedIn or dplit.com, and you'll have a great experience. Work with some of the best innovative thought leaders in the world, and really I can't recommend them highly enough. So thanks. This has been Amir Anzor from amiranzor.com.